I want you to think about a time when you failed. Maybe it was a business venture that didn't take off, a relationship that ended, or a goal you fell short of. How did that failure make you feel? Disappointed, frustrated, maybe even like giving up. Well, I'm here to tell you that those feelings are normal, but they're also a trap. A trap that keeps you stuck, that prevents you from reaching your full potential. Today, we're going to break free from that trap. We're going to reframe failure not as an end, but as a beginning. Not as a roadblock, but as a teacher. Let me share a personal story with you. Early in my career, I was working as a salesman, cold calling potential clients. Day after day, I'd pick up that phone, and day after day, I'd hear the same thing. No, not interested. For weeks, I didn't make a single sale. I was failing and failing hard. I started to analyze my failures. I recorded my calls, listened back to them, and identified areas where I could improve. I studied successful salespeople, practiced my pitch in the mirror, and kept refining my approach. And you know what happened? I started to fail better. My rejections became less harsh. I started getting more people to listen, and eventually I made my first sale. Then another and another. Those initial failures were the foundation of my future success. This is the power of failing better. It's about extracting the lesson from every setback, about seeing failure not as a judgment of your worth, but as feedback on your approach. In our success-obsessed culture, we often forget that failure is an integral part of any meaningful endeavor. Show me a person who's never failed, and I will show you someone who's never tried anything new, never pushed their boundaries, never truly lived. Every scientific breakthrough, every technological innovation, every artistic masterpiece, they're all built on a mountain of failures. Thomas Edison famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That's the mindset of a true achiever. Failure is your teacher, your mentor, your guide. It shows you what doesn't work, so you can focus on what does. It strengthens your resolve, builds your resilience, and sharpens your skills. In short, failure is the price of admission for success. Not all failure is created equal. There's a world of difference between failing because you didn't try hard enough and failing because you pushed yourself to your limits. Between failing because you were careless and failing because you dared greatly. That's why we're not just talking about failing again. We're talking about failing better. Failing better means learning from your mistakes. It means analyzing what went wrong, adjusting your approach, and trying again with new knowledge and insights. Failing better is about maintaining your enthusiasm in the face of setbacks. It's about seeing each failure not as a step back, but as a step closer to your goals. It's about understanding that success is not the absence of failure, but the result of persisting through failure. Now, I can almost hear some of you thinking, that's all well and good, but how do I actually do this? How do I fail better? 1, embrace a growth mindset. This is the foundation of failing better. A growth mindset, as opposed to a fixed mindset, believes that abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. When you have a growth mindset, you see failure not as evidence of your limitations, but as an opportunity for growth. Cultivating a growth mindset starts with your self-talk. Instead of saying, "I'm not good at this," say, "I'm not good at this yet." Instead of "I failed," say, "I learned." This simple shift in language can have a profound impact on how you perceive and respond to failure. Why just performance goals? When you're working towards something, don't just focus on the end result. Set goals for what you want to learn along the way. This way, even if you don't achieve your ultimate objective, you still have valuable takeaways. For example, if you're starting a business, don't just set a goal for revenue. Set goals for what you want to learn about marketing, product development, customer service, and so on. This way, even if the business doesn't take off immediately, you've still gained valuable skills and knowledge. 3, practice intelligent failure. Not all failures create equal. Intelligent failure is about taking calculated risks, experimenting in a controlled environment, and learning quickly from the results. This might mean starting small and scaling up. It might mean running pilot projects before full implementation. It might mean seeking feedback early and often. The key is to create an environment where failure is not catastrophic, but informative. 4, develop a failure analysis process. When you fail, don't just move on. Take the time to really understand what happened. Develop a systematic way to analyze your failures. Ask yourself, what was my goal? What went wrong? What factors contributed to the failure? What can I learn from this? How can I apply these lessons going forward? By turning failure analysis into a habit, you ensure that no failure goes to waste. Every setback becomes a source of insight and improvement. 5, celebrate your failures. This might sound counterintuitive, but it's crucial. When you celebrate your failures, you take away their power to discourage you. You reinforce the idea that failure is not something to be ashamed of, but something to be proud of because it means you had the courage to try. This doesn't mean throwing a party every time something goes wrong. It means acknowledging the effort you put in, recognizing the lessons you learn, and appreciating the growth that came from the experience. Let's start with embracing a growth mindset. This concept, pioneered by psychologist Carol Dweck, is about believing that your abilities are not fixed, but can be developed through effort, good strategies, and input from others. When you have a growth mindset, failure becomes an opportunity to grow rather than a judgment of your abilities. It's the difference between saying, I'm not a good public speaker and I haven't mastered public speaking yet. To cultivate a growth mindset, start by becoming aware of your self-talk. When you face a challenge or a setback, what does your inner voice say? If it's telling you that you're not good enough, that you'll never succeed, that's your fixed mindset talking. Recognize it, then challenge it. Replace those fixed mindset thoughts with growth mindset alternatives. Instead of, I'm not good at this, try, what am I missing? What can I do to improve? Instead of, I give up, try, we'll use a different strategy. Instead of, this is too hard, try, this may take some time and effort. Remember, the brain is like a muscle. It gets stronger with use. The more you practice this kind of thinking, the more natural it will become. And as your mindset shifts, you'll find yourself more resilient in the face of failure, more willing to take on challenges, and more persistent in pursuing your goals. Moving on to our second strategy, setting learning goals alongside performance goals. This approach is about valuing the journey as much as the destination. Too often we fixate solely on outcomes. We want to make $1 million, lose 50 pounds, or get a promotion. These are performance goals and they're important. They give us something to strive for. But they can also set us up for disappointment if we don't achieve them as quickly as we'd like. Learning goals, on the other hand, focus on the process. They're about what you want to gain in terms of knowledge, skills, or experience along the way. When you set learning goals, you ensure that you're growing and improving regardless of the ultimate outcome. Let's say you're trying to start a successful YouTube channel. A performance goal might be to reach 100,000 subscribers within a year. That's great, but what if you don't hit that number? Does that mean the entire endeavor was a failure? Not if you've also set learning goals. These might include mastering video editing software, improving your on-camera presence, learning about SEO and content strategy, or understanding how to build an engaged online community. Even if you don't hit your subscriber goal, achieving these learning objectives means you've still made significant progress. By balancing performance goals with learning goals, you create a win-win situation. You're working towards your big objectives while ensuring that you're growing and improving every step of the way. This approach turns every experience, success or failure, into an opportunity for growth. Intelligent failure is not about being reckless or careless. It's about taking calculated risks, experimenting in controlled environments, and learning quickly from the results. It's about creating situations where a failure is not catastrophic but informative. How software companies release new features. They don't immediately roll out to all users. Instead, they do beta testing with a small group. They gather feedback, identify bugs, and make improvements before a wider release. This is intelligent failure in action. You can apply this principle in your own life and work. If you're thinking of changing careers, you might start by taking a night class or doing some freelance work in your new field before making a full switch. If you're an entrepreneur with a new product idea, you might create a minimum viable product and test it with a small group of potential customers before investing in full-scale production. The key to intelligent failure is to create feedback loops that allow you to learn and adjust quickly. It's about making your failures small and frequent rather than big and rare. This way you can course correct before small issues become big problems. Remember, the goal is not to avoid failure altogether. That would mean you're not pushing yourself hard enough. The goal is to fail in ways that are productive, that move you forward, that teach you something valuable. When something goes wrong, our natural instinct is often to want to move past it as quickly as possible. We don't want to dwell on our mistakes or shortcomings, but by doing so, we miss out on valuable lessons. A good failure analysis process helps you extract maximum learning from every setback. It turns failure from something to be avoided into a rich source of insight and growth. Here's a simple framework you can use. 1. Describe the failure. What happened? Be specific and objective. 2. Analyze the causes. What factors contributed to this outcome? Look beyond the immediate causes to the root factors. 3. Identify the lessons. What can you learn from this experience? What would you do differently next time? 4. Plan improvements. Based on these lessons, what specific actions can you take to improve? 5. Implement and monitor. Put your plan into action and keep track of the results. Let's say you gave a presentation at work that didn't go as well as you hoped. Instead of just feeling bad about it, you'd go through this process. 1. Describe. My presentation on the new project didn't engage the team. People looked bored, and there were few questions or comments. 2. Analyze. I spent too much time on background details and not enough on key points. My slides were text-heavy and hard to read. I spoke too quickly and didn't make eye contact. 3. Identify lessons. I need to focus on the most important information. Visual aids should enhance, not distract. Delivery is as important as content. 4. Plan improvements. For my next presentation, I will create an outline focusing on key points. I will use more images and less text in my slides. I will practice my delivery, focusing on pace and audience engagement. 5. Implement and monitor. Put this plan into action for your next presentation and note the results. By going through this process, you turn a disappointing experience into a catalyst for improvement. You're not just failing, you're failing better. Celebrating your failures. This might seem counterintuitive. After all, failure doesn't feel good. Why would we want to celebrate it? The answer is that celebrating failure changes our relationship with it. When we celebrate our failures, we take away their power to discourage us. We reinforce the idea that failure is not something to be ashamed of, but something to be proud of, because it means we had the courage to try. Celebrating failure doesn't mean throwing a party every time something goes wrong. It means acknowledging the effort you put in, recognizing the lessons you learned, and appreciating the growth that came from the experience. It might mean keeping a failure resume where you document your failures and what you learned from them. It might mean sharing your failures with others, both to get their insights and to normalize the experience of failure. It might mean giving yourself a small reward for taking a risk, regardless of the outcome. The goal is to create an environment, both internally and externally, where failure is seen not as something to be avoided at all costs, but as a natural and valuable part of the growth process. By celebrating your failures, you're telling yourself and others that it's okay to take risks, to push boundaries, to try new things. You're creating a culture of innovation and continuous improvement. You're becoming someone who's not paralyzed by the fear of failure, but energized by the possibility of growth. Now, I want to address a common concern that often comes up when we talk about embracing failure. Some people worry that if they become too accepting of failure, they'll lose their drive to succeed. They fear that celebrating failure might lead to complacency. Failing better is not about lowering your standards or settling for less. It's not about making excuses or avoiding responsibility. It's about maintaining high standards while understanding that the path to meeting those standards is rarely straight or smooth. Failing better is about having the courage to aim high, knowing that you might fall short, and being prepared to learn and grow from that experience. It's about understanding that success is not the opposite of failure, but a product of it. Any skill you've mastered in your life, maybe it's playing an instrument, speaking a foreign language, or excelling at a sport. Did you become proficient overnight? Of course not. You became good by being bad at first, by making mistakes, by failing over and over again, but each time failing a little better. The same principle applies to any goal worth pursuing. Whether you're trying to advance in your career, build a business, improve your relationships, or achieve personal growth, the path will be filled with setbacks and failures. The question is not whether you'll fail, but how you'll respond when you do. Will you let failure defeat you, or will you let it teach you? Will you see it as a sign that you're not good enough, or as evidence that you're pushing yourself to grow? Will you use it as an excuse to give up, or as motivation to try again, this time with more knowledge and experience? The choice is yours, and it's a choice you'll have to make over and over again because life doesn't get easier. You get stronger, you get more resilient, you get better at failing, and in doing so, you get better at succeeding. Remember, every successful person you admire has a long list of failures behind them. The difference is that they didn't let those failures define them or deter them. They used them as stepping stones, as fuel for their fire, as the raw material from which they built their success. Embrace a growth mindset. Set learning goals alongside your performance goals. Practice intelligent failure. Analyze your setbacks. Celebrate your attempts. When you face a challenge, don't ask yourself, what if I fail? Ask yourself, what will I learn? How will this make me stronger? How can I use this experience to get closer to my goals? The biggest risk is not failing. The biggest risk is playing it so safe that you never truly challenge yourself, never truly grow, never truly live up to your potential. So go out there and fail spectacularly. Fail in ways that make great stories. Fail in pursuit of your dreams, your goals, and your vision for a better life, because each failure is a stepping stone, a building block in the foundation of your future success. Every time you fail, you're eliminating one more way that doesn't work. You're narrowing down the path to success. You're gaining invaluable experience that no book, no lecture, no mentor can provide. You're earning your stripes in the arena of life. You're looking back on all you've done, all you've accomplished, all you've experienced. What would you regret? The failures you encountered while chasing your dreams, or the dreams you never chased because you were afraid to fail. I can tell you from experience, it's always the chances we didn't take, the risks we didn't dare, that haunt us the most. So don't let the fear of failure hold you back. Embrace it, use it, let it fuel your determination to succeed. Remember, failure is not your enemy. Complacency is, stagnation is, the willingness to settle for less than you're capable of. That's the real failure. Everything else is just part of the journey. So how do we put this into practice? How do we turn this philosophy of failing better into tangible actions that move us forward? Let me share with you some practical strategies. First, start small. You don't have to risk everything all at once. Take small, calculated risks. Try new things in areas where the stakes are low. This could be as simple as trying a new recipe, striking up a conversation with a stranger, or learning a new skill. The goal here is to get comfortable with the possibility of failure, to understand that the world doesn't end when things don't go as planned, to build your resilience muscle one small challenge at a time. As you get more comfortable with these small failures, gradually increase the stakes. Take on bigger challenges. Push yourself further out of your comfort zone. Remember, growth happens at the edge of your abilities, not in the safe center of what you already know. Next, create a failure-friendly environment around you. Surround yourself with people who understand the value of failing forward, people who will support you when you fall, but who will also encourage you to get back up and try again. This might mean joining a mastermind group, finding a mentor, or simply having honest conversations with friends and family about your goals and the challenges you're facing. The key is to build a support system that understands and values the role of failure and success. Another crucial strategy is to redefine your relationship with failure. Instead of seeing it as a negative outcome, start viewing it as valuable data. Every failure is providing you with information about what doesn't work, about your own strengths and weaknesses, about the challenges you're facing. So instead of asking, why did I fail? Ask, what did this failure teach me? Instead of thinking, I'm not good enough, think, what skills do I need to develop? This shift in perspective turns failure from a roadblock into a signpost guiding you toward success. Failing better doesn't mean giving up after a few attempts. It means having the tenacity to keep going, to keep refining your approach, to keep pushing forward even when things get tough. Thomas Edison, as we mentioned earlier, failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. J.K. Rowling was rejected by multiple publishers before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon. Steve Jobs was fired from the company he founded before returning to make Apple one of the most valuable companies in the world. What do the stories have in common? Persistence. The willingness to fail again and again, but to fail better each time, to learn, to adapt, to keep moving forward no matter what. This kind of persistence isn't about blindly repeating the same actions and expecting different results. It's about intelligent persistence. It's about analyzing your failures, extracting the lessons, adjusting your approach, and then trying again with new knowledge and refined skills. It's about understanding that success is rarely a single event, but a process. A process of continuous improvement, of constant learning, of relentless forward motion, and failure is an integral part of that process. The fear of judgment. We live in a world that often celebrates success and shames failure, and this can make us hesitant to take risks, to put ourselves out there, to dare greatly. The people who judge you for your failures are not the ones who are out there trying, failing, and growing themselves. They're the spectators, not the players, and their opinions should not dictate your actions. Remember, every great achievement, every breakthrough, every innovation started as an attempt that others might have judged as foolish or doomed to fail. If the Wright brothers had listened to those who said human flight was impossible, we might still be stuck on the ground. If Marie Curie had been deterred by the skeptics, our understanding of radioactivity might be years behind where it is today. So don't let the fear of judgment hold you back. The only judgment that truly matters is your own. Are you living up to your own standards? Are you pushing yourself to grow, to learn, to become the best version of yourself? That's what counts. When you embrace failure, when you're open about your struggles and your lessons learned, you give others permission to do the same. You create a ripple effect of growth and resilience that extends far beyond yourself. By failing better, you become a leader. You show others that it's okay to take risks, to make mistakes, to be imperfect. You demonstrate that what matters is not avoiding failure, but how you respond to it. You inspire others to dream bigger, to reach higher, to persist in the face of challenges. That brings us to an important point. The role of mindset in failing better. Your mindset, your beliefs about yourself and your abilities, plays a crucial role in how you handle failure. If you have a fixed mindset, you believe that your abilities are set in stone. In this mindset, failure feels personal. It feels like a judgment on your worth as a person. And this can lead to avoiding challenges, giving up easily, and missing out on opportunities for growth. But if you cultivate a growth mindset, you understand that your abilities can be developed through effort and learning. In this mindset, failure is not a reflection of your worth, but an opportunity for growth. It's feedback, not a final verdict. With a growth mindset, you're more likely to embrace challenges, to persist in the face of setbacks, to see effort as a path to mastery. You're more likely to learn from criticism and find lessons and inspiration in the success of others. So how do you develop this growth mindset? It starts with awareness. Pay attention to your self-talk. When you face a challenge or a setback, what does your inner voice say? If it's telling you that you're not good enough, that you'll never succeed, that's your fixed mindset talking. Recognize it, then challenge it. Place those fixed mindset thoughts with growth mindset alternatives. Instead of, I'm not good at this, try, what am I missing? What can I do to improve? Instead of, I give up, try, I will use a different strategy. Instead of, this is too hard. Try this may take some time and effort. Remember, the brain is like a muscle. It gets stronger with use. The more you practice this kind of thinking, the more natural it will become. And as your mindset shifts, you'll find yourself more resilient in the face of failure, more willing to take on challenges, and more persistent in pursuing your goals. While we want to embrace failure as a learning opportunity, we also want to set ourselves up for the best possible chance of success. This is where preparation comes in. Preparation doesn't guarantee success, but it does help you fail better. When you're well prepared, you're more likely to recognize what went wrong and why. You're better equipped to extract valuable lessons from your failures, and you're more resilient in the face of setbacks because you know you've done your best. So before you embark on any significant endeavor, take the time to prepare, research, plan, practice. Anticipate potential obstacles and think about how you might overcome them. This doesn't mean trying to plan for every possible scenario. That's impossible and can lead to paralysis. But it does mean giving yourself a solid foundation from which to take calculated risks. Remember, the goal is not to eliminate failure. The goal is to fail better, to fail in ways that move you forward, that teach you something valuable, that bring you closer to your ultimate objectives. Over the next week, I want you to deliberately do something that you might fail at, something that stretches you, that pushes you out of your comfort zone. It could be trying a new skill, having a difficult conversation, pitching an idea, or taking on a project you're not sure you can handle. Whatever it is, approach it with the mindset we've discussed today. Be prepared, be brave, and be ready to learn. And if you do fail, celebrate it, analyze it, learn from it, use it as fuel for your next attempt. Because here's the ultimate truth. In the grand scheme of things, the only real failure is the failure to grow, to learn, to become better than you were yesterday. Everything else is just part of the journey. So go forth and fail. Fail again. Fail better. And in doing so, pave your way to success, fulfillment, and a life lived to its fullest potential. The world is waiting for what you have to offer. Don't let the fear of failure hold you back from giving it your all. Remember, every great success story is built on a foundation of failures. Your failures are not the end of your story. They're the beginning of your success. Embrace them, learn from them, use them, and watch as they transform into the stepping stones of your incredible journey. The path to your dreams is waiting. It may be challenging, it may be uncertain, but it's yours to walk. So take that first step. Embrace the possibility of failure, and with it, the certainty of growth. Your future self will thank you for the courage you showed today. Now go out there and make your mark on the world. Fail spectacularly, learn continuously, and succeed beyond your wildest dreams. The journey of failing better starts now. Are you ready to take the leap?